This is the sound of your projection all the time, all the time, all the time, projecting energy, concepting. What is perception at all given times? All the time there are things coming in, there are things going out, there is radiance coming from thought processes. There's a back and forth reciprocation between the outside and the internal experience of the outside world coming in and going out and back and forth and so on and so forth. It's a little bit reliant on the outside ongoings that have to do with what is occurring in the internal space. So with this focus, it is sometimes a little bit difficult to be able to find the highest value of things that are best to be able to try to decide to give attention to. And this makes it a little bit like a stock market, Things are somewhat like a stock market in the external world in terms of uh, play, placing attention is somewhat like a stock market, finding value in life, holding on to value and making clusters of value, like making clusters of assets, trying to develop a different style of coupling different things that are valuable or seem valuable and holding on to them and then continuing to move on in life and having attention not be something that you can capture or stop or push a pause button on. Attention is is correlated to what life is in of itself. Attention is a flowing, ongoing, moving in motion metric that in essence is only something that can be acknowledged or measured or somehow uh, tracked to some extent, or like a pattern recognition, in other words, from it by the end of a day, similar to like the end of a stock market day. For example, you have data at the end of a stock market day, but when it's the middle of the day, you can't actually ever track it. You can't capture what's happening in the stock market. The energy is ever present. It's ever moving. It's unnecessarily related or correlated to many different things. So only at the end of the day is it possible to look back and see how the data developed itself and made a track record and a certain formation of certain expressions in terms of a data expression. And it's similar with attention after all. Attention is something that during the day is very unpredictable. It's very unpredictable. It's moving in all different directions. It's very peculiar. It's speculative. What you want to think about, what you hope to think about, what you plan to think about, what things that you wrote about the night before that you wanted to think about the day after, and things you have to do, and how things, while you're in the middle of a life and a day, tend to correspond to very fleeting, escaping, conceptually continual, ungraspable attention span focuses necessarily. It's like a stock market. It's like a stock market, and it's very peculiar to look at it that way because attention, again, is something that's streaming, it's ongoing. Whenever you're awake, it's there, it's present, it's moving like a ball that's moving like in the stock market every day. That ball is moving when any attention is open and present and conscious in the world, then that ball is moving. That ball is moving just like the stock market in essence. And the directions that it's moving, it can be tracked in hindsight. So having keen like focuses on high value items is ideal, and surrounding oneself around networks that have a good value system and net worth is similar to the expression of having a network is net worth, more or less. So like with that corresponding correlation, it's ideal to have high value high value items as possible surrounding to be able to try to keep continuous focus around that corresponds to a higher value system, a higher value output in terms of monetary value, in terms of consistent ongoing outflow, and also reciprocation with the global ecosystem in the form of philanthropy energy. Philanthropy energy, when higher focuses continue to elevate philanthropy energy, giving value to people and giving to the world is something that tries to resonate at the top, is the highest level of interactions that you hope to try to have and hold on to and try to focus on in terms of like how to focus attention, in terms of try to steal your own attention, in terms of trying to direct your own attention that's undirectable as you experience an uncontrollable experience throughout the day known as attention, although it can be directed to a certain extent with consistent focuses and such things, although thoughts necessarily are not necessarily controllable in the instance of the whole entire day based upon not having consistent 100% control over that, because it's just a moving process, but also directing it and giving it some guidance, in essence, develops a possible conceivable awareness to how to conceptually, especially using past data, for days past, to try to track the directions of higher value thinking and higher value focuses to develop a higher value of direction, of surroundings, of corresponding assets to the mental assets and the attention assets that you're trying to give your attention to or revolve your attention around to develop a higher net worth and a higher network and a higher asset mindset and a higher asset portfolio as well, in a physical, in a mental, in a digital, in a monetary, and in a philanthropy energy sense, in terms of developing and garnering and hoping to focus in on all those assets. It's very strange. It's very strange as a stock market, as attention as a stock market. In addition, we're trying to pivot to talk about how we're also wanted to focus on being able to develop 3D printed rims and wheels for cars, being able to 3D print rims and wheels for cars by putting like a story of story designs into 3D rims, 3D printed rims for cars. In essence, for cars, wheel size for cars, or different rims as well. But we can influence and implement them. And similarly to, like I talked about yesterday, adding jewelry to clothing, I talked about yesterday. So today, it's in essence like an addition to that. It's one more addition to that because we're also vehicles. So in essence, like I was talking about yesterday, adding jewelry to clothing, in essence, to be able to develop costumes for the sport animal, for the animal that is your sport at the same time. Everybody is a sport. Everybody's an animal. That's their own animal because they're all their own characters in essence, and that's what has to do with the philanthropy energy sport that they are born with, that radiates from their heart, that it makes them unique as entrepreneurs because everybody is an entrepreneur, and that's the whole purpose of also talking about people's attention at the same time in terms of like a stock market, because of like, investing in that attention or using that attention to invest, more or less. But it's, yeah, very peculiar. Anyways, in addition, being able to 3D print rims makes it similar to talking about yesterday. So like talking about basically the essence of those sports animals. It's a sport and an animal. We are all sports and animals, but we're also vehicles. So sports, animal, vehicles. So basically, we're talking about clothing, jewelry, to be able to make those sports animal costumes. Basically, costumes for those custom sports animals, basically being able to combine the utility of jewelry as well as the design of clothing to make a costume for a sport and an animal. A sport, and like an animal needs clothing, like we're animals, we're humans, we need clothing, but also sports need little tools, they need designs, they need accessories. So that's where jewelry comes in essence, to combine that with clothing. But today, we're also combining that with wheels and rims, and making the combination of all three of those, because we're also vehicles. As people, humans are also vehicles. We have a brain that's a computer, and it's also driving that attention, we have the mental and the physical aspect to the vehicle, in essence. So we have like the computer in the car, in essence, and you have the wheels that are on the outside, the external. They're like shoes, in essence. So that's kind of like talking about shoes on, feet, but also shoes on a car, because we are also vehicles. So having that jewelry, clothing, and also vehicles. So like we're also, we're animals, we're sports, and we are vehicles all at the same time. We're all three of those. So we're combining, in essence, by talking about 3D printing, with also the shoes of cars, meaning wheels, the rims, in essence, and having storytelling art within those rims. We're combining jewelry, clothing, and because wheels are shoes for cars. People call them shoes sometimes. So anyway, we're combining clothing, jewelry, and cars and vehicles, which is correlative to having a sport, an animal, and a vehicle. So those things correlate. So we're correlating them from yesterday to today. Not like anybody listens to all these episodes in an organized, a chronological fashion, but nonetheless, if they were going to do that, then they would understand today the continuity from yesterday, in essence. So yeah, that's where we're going with that, and that's kind of a cool little addition, I suppose you could say. But there were so many other things to focus on today, like basically trying to also have like Lamborghini parts for all other aspects of our business, basically, because that's pretty important, I would say so, for sure, by having just a lot of basically there's a lot of different parts for moving parts in many different businesses. So we want to try to consistently focus on having like Lamborghini type asset type parts for all of our working parts of our business as best as possible in the most ongoing sense, to be able to continue to develop frameworks and plates We call them plates, which relate to partnerships around the world. So finding partnerships that relate to high resonating, high frequency, high corresponding, high value connections and partnerships is a similar indicative or corresponding analogy to having basically high value partnerships by having Lamborghini parts, Lamborghini parts, Lamborghini parts for all things, as opposed to bicycle parts, for example. So we're talking about Lamborghini parts. We're talking about high well manufactured parts in essence, and we want that type of stability and type of like notoriety within all the types of parts and partnerships to be able to connect and continue to ongoing connect different plates. Call them plates because they're plates that need to be spinning by a partner, basically. So those partnerships to spin plates, more or less, to just continue to spin or to add plates, and hopefully just continue to have them be like Lamborghini parts to add to a more solid vehicle. A more solid vehicle as the connection and partnership grows. That there's individual vehicles, but there's also collective vehicles and group vehicles, group minds vehicles. Those are also called companies. Yeah. Yeah. In the global spectrum of the global philanthropy energy grid, we're all vehicles driving around, being able to try to consistently grow philanthropy energy for all human beings to be able to benefit from this, as opposed to just some to be able to pipe in everybody's mindset into this advantage making union, to have a global union as opposed to just little unions known as countries in the meantime, and being able to stop the facade that everybody's playing, that people within countries are playing, that people in other countries are not connected, like they're not all connected. It's like it's a necessity, a call to action to be able to try to stop the facade and stop playing the fake game and start playing the real game, which is the global game, and having consciousness and awareness and appreciation for all people's machines, all people as machines and as a connection to the global philanthropy energy grid, because that's how we all are empowered from each other, by having that connection to fundamentally exist. So we'll try to list off a couple other value thoughts for the day. Being on offense versus defense, it's good to have a mixture ultimately, but defense is the most important for sure. Defense always the most important. Always defense. But then moving around to make partnerships as often as possible, and try to add value to other people's businesses. Free value. That corresponds to always making everybody a customer in every interaction they conceivably have, by also including having more control over that attention, having attention over your stock market attention, in essence, by creating or making dynamics where you can add value to certain businesses by like finding businesses that you want to talk to that have a similar interest. You have a similar interest in growing their business by adding value to them, by just talking to them and wanting to talk to them about that and giving them free value, so that eventually maybe those can turn into clients, but maybe not. But nonetheless, they all can continue to stay clients because the mindset that you're enjoying spending time giving them value, in essence. So that's in essence the nature of a client and business relationship. So that's a way to also add value to your own business. And everybody is a business. Everybody is a business. In essence, because of that energy, the potential to be an entrepreneur as well as invest. There's the two arms. So everybody can be a client if treated as such, and you focus on people like friends. You do things with friends that have similar interests. But in terms of business, if you make it about business and you make all of your friends business conceptual people, then all your friends, all your people, everybody that you talk to can become clients automatically, because it's like going on to a field and playing a game that everybody's already playing in essence anyways, and you're just trying to add value by playing that same game with them, and add value in a very similar fashion, except you find a business in a niche that way, where you jump into the middle of the game, and every time you're going on to the field, and you're just adding value into the same business. So it's just kind of like it's a similar thing to a schoolyard game. In essence, yeah. Micro versus macro, defense versus offense, back and forth, zooming back and forth between both. So we're doing both. Macro, micro, defense, offense. Macro, micro, defense, offense. Yeah. Exchanging interaction. We're making nurturing interaction common businesses. Folks, subtle. Paradigms contingency. When energy, and with energy levels. Having different aspects of monetary energy changes paradigms around the whole world, around the whole world. That's a comparison to the rest of the world in essence. So the paradigm is constantly shifting based upon monetary energy that you have necessarily, and being able to add more value in essence in terms of philanthropy energy makes more of an imbalance to grow a business to be able to inflate a conceivable value in or against the global aggregate value. Oh, for a specific person or business or group of people. Oh, has to typical. Always always right now, doing things always right now. It has to always be right now. It has to always be right now. If you think about things you have to do, think about things you want to write down, whether you have to do tomorrow or do this, that, the other thing. If you can do them, if you can't do them right now, things you want, or in other words, people that you want to call, people you want to reach out to in terms of the spectrum of like a stock market of attention, stock market of attention. It's good to do it right now, right now, to get the action done. Get the action done. Take the action now. If you're thinking about calling someone who can add value to your business, your process, or you can add value to them and you're just thinking about it and you think about the most valuable thing or you feel the most valuable, to take the action now. Talk to them when the time is hot, when the feeling is most ripe, in essence. Whoa, 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 whoa. Any B string, how? Oh, conceptual difficult. Yeah. Well, maybe just end it here. Oh, mutual value deals, necessity. It's similar to hopefully to draw like a $1 billion deal sequence attempt to be able to develop a closed circuit sequence of energy flow conceptualization as it is to get like one view from somebody like into a new business, for example. It's a similar amount of energy, so it's better and ideal to spend the time on high value processes as opposed to ones that are less high value in essence, because it's just to have a high value, scalable, conceivable process that could scale to $1 billion could take just as much energy as getting one person's attention for one view on like one post on social media that's for free. You're making the social media platforms money in that instance as opposed to making your own business money by developing a new system or loop in essence that could hopefully scale up to be worth a whole lot more by spending the time hopefully in the directions of building systems, building systems in the adding to your own business sense. We'll just go ahead and end it now. Thanks again, Digitech. Bye. Change for Game Studios and Digitech. Change for Games. Bye. Peace. Bye.